Barry Alvarez, not dead. And
so I'm glad I never even saw any of that because I would have bought that hook, line, and sinker if I would have seen any of the stuff going around that Barry Alvarez was in poor health.
So apparently a former Ohio State player, his name escapes me, but he said he had good information that Barry Alvarez was dead and posted on Twitter like R.I.P. Barry, to the point where like people had to confirm that Barry was alive, which has got to be a weird call. Like you're calling someone like, wait, are they dead? And then they pick up like is this Bob Cratchit? Like what's going on here? So like that would have been one part of it. So Barry alive, and then also disappointed in our friends Tarek and Derek. I asked them to help us get Barry Alvarez yesterday. It didn't happen. So then Tauscher got it done for Wilde Tausch. So this should have been our news today that Barry Alvarez shared on the Wilde Tausch show, but instead, because Tarek and Derek didn't make the ask, or Barry turned him down.
Here's the thing,
one
they
of the
play
two.
on defense, so they're used to dropping the ball.
Derek is a center. So
Okay, well, he never had the ball. He just passed it to someone else and dropped it.
he literally started with the ball. Just take the L.
And then they took it from him. Every time they said
He gave
hike,
it to
he
him.
got the ball stolen.
All right. Stolen? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was an exchange.
You would think that.
Yes.
You're too close.
That is my bad on that one. So, Barry Alvarez had this to say, though, with Wilde Tausch.
It's out of control and unsustainable. You know, the paying of the players. It's supposed to be illegal to use the coaches to use cash to endorse or to encourage players or recruit players, but that's exactly what's happening. And I just read the other day a coach said, one of the coaches that resigned said, it just got too much. I'm trying to raise money for a kid who hasn't played yet. He's going to make more money than me. And it's just, it's got out of control, unsustainable. It's going to screw up college football. It's going to ruin college football as we know it.
Ooh. All right, a couple things there.
Get off my lawn.
I don't have a problem with players making more than the coaches in any sport. That honestly, the players on a team should be make more than the manager in real life. Like if you're on a team, like the manager is not the one out there hunting or getting the job done and doing the work. They should be paid.
What do you think
fairly,
the
but
split
like,
is on an NFL team? Because obviously the coach is going to make more than some of your like, you know, your low end players. Maybe a lot of like late round rookie players, but they're not going to make as much as like your Jair Alexanders and your Aaron
That also
Jones
depends
even.
on the coach. If you're Bill Belichick, he was getting like $15 million a year by the end of his run in New England.
According to what's your favorite site?
Spot Rack?
Oh, this is actually Sportico.
Oh.
Highest. I got it mixed up. Apparently, you got to have an SPO and everything, and if you got something associated with contracts here. Belichick $25 million in 2023. Sean Payton $18 million. Pete Carroll $15 million.
Wow.
So yeah, some of those guys got paid some money. So obviously, but at the same time, that pales. Like Jalen Johnson just re-signed with the Bears, and he has I think he ranks 8th in now, or 6th in average annual salary for a football player, and he'll be about $19 million a year. So that still puts him in front of, like, Sean McVay gets $15 million, Kyle Shanahan gets $14 million, Tomlin $12.5, John Harbaugh at $12. I'm not sure where Jim Harbaugh came in because this list is from like this last season. Nick Saban made $12 at Alabama. So
Luke Fickell makes $7.5 at Wisconsin, for reference.
Well, yeah. I believe, too, Caleb Williams made a comment that if he stayed at USC another year, he could make more than his first-round rookie contract. Like, he would make more at USC than he would as a professional football player.
Yeah, but that's kind of false because...
Oh, it does include endorsements.
Well,
and all
that's
the other things.
he's not
right.
getting paid by USC. He's getting paid in endorsements. He's making $10 million.
Right.
He should be able to
get
make...
probably the same endorsements plus the NFL
He'll
salary.
get more. If you're the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears and you're the first overall pick, he is going to be making hundreds of millions of dollars immediately.
Yeah.
As the quarterback.
I mean, I think it was one of those like quick little comments, like
But it is
the one I'm
good-
making now
yes.
versus just the salary I get the Bears is going to be more. Like,
yes, and Jordan used to say it all the time when he played in the NBA. During his time, it was he he got paid way more, like 3 to 4 times more in endorsements than he ever got paid in salary. It wasn't until the very end that he started getting paid remotely close to what he would have been worth. So that's not uncommon. So I don't have a problem with the NIL.
They don't pay you very much in curling either. I got more endorsements than I got curling.
So I want to ask this. Barry Alvarez said NIL is going to kill college football as we know it.
As we know it.
But I say it's not the NIL. It's the portal. It's just like it's not the heat, it's the humidity. It's not the NIL, it's the portal.
It's not the cold, it's the wind.
Right. It is the portal that is the problem. Paying the players is the right thing to do. And if you have a problem with that, you should have gotten in front of it, NCAA or anyone else is complaining. They should have been paid. You maybe could have controlled this, but colleges didn't want these players on their books as employees. The colleges wanted to have their cake and eat it too. The NCAA was greedy, and this is the price of – because here's the other part of it. This whole situation right now is not great, but it's not as bad as you think. NFL, they did a poll with NFL front office people at the Combine, and they all said the NIL is not a problem for them. Like, it's still feeds them the players that they know. So the NFL does not, because it actually is a benefit because these players now arrive a little bit more professional than when they used to, because now they have a little bit more professional experience in college. The difference in college football now is that there were takers, coaches, administrations, universities took from players to the point where the federal government had to come in, the Supreme Court, and said, you are taking advantage of these players. We got to blow the whole thing up. So the greed of the NCAA caused this problem. And now we're in this problem. The NIL is not the problem. The NIL is part of the solution. The problem is the portal. Because if you have players, and this is the part I understand, in the NFL there's contracts that have to be signed, that you have to commit, and the team has some control. So that's where we have to get, is a way that there are, whether it's, hey, you want to come play for the Badgers, we will give you $1 million a year, but you cannot leave for at least 2 years. And that's a guarantee. Or we can give you $500,000 a year and you can have the ability to go.
Right.
So like those sorts of things, if they can work out a way to have some sort of contract, that's what's going to save college football.
We also need to remember that college football ain't going anywhere. It feeds the NFL, and the NFL is the biggest thing in sports in America. What we got to remember is that the NIL is still in its infancy. Like, there's going to be different regulations and things that are going to be put in place that are going to help, but like, you don't know what the problem is until you experience it a little bit, and then you can go back and try and fix it. So like, you just had to start paying players and get into this situation. Now you're seeing some things that might be wrong. Now we can peel back the curtain and figure out exactly what the issue is and move forward. Like, yes, college football as we know it, like Barry said, is dead or dying, but that's okay because college football ain't going anywhere. We're still going to have it. It will look different, but we're still going to see amazing games on Saturday. We're going to see extremely talented athletes go toe-to-toe with other extremely talented athletes on any given Saturday during the football season, and that's not going to change. The heart of the game, the fact that they get 4 downs to get 10 yards, and they got 6 points for getting in the end zone, and then an extra point for a field goal, that's all the same. Nothing is really changing. It's how are we going to be able to navigate some of the portal things, how these players get paid and how they're able to work their own likeness deals. That is something that's going to have to, you're going to have some growing pains when you jump into something like this, especially something like this is $1 billion industry. Like that money is going to be divvied up amongst all these players who deserve it. Because all it takes is one bad shot to the knee. All of a sudden, you might be a prospect who's going to go to the NFL. You might never get to the NFL. At least you got to eat your cake during the college years. Like,
right.
This is good.
Barry Alvarez said on Wilde Tausch that NIL is going to destroy college football as we know it. What do you think is the current bigger problem for college football? Name and likeness or the transfer portal? 56% of you don't like paying players. You say it's name and likeness. It's the transfer portal. It is not even a conversation. Paying the players is not the problem. We extorted college football players for a long time, and we cannot go back to that, and that cannot be the problem. The problem is the transfer portal. That part I will give you, because you have no way. In any other profession, you pay someone, there's usually some sort of contract. And in this case, there isn't, and that is the hard part.
Well, I mean, the schools are like, well, we're giving them an education. We're giving them a piece of paper at the end of their career saying they can do whatever job we said that they can do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of malarkey because there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids that get like academic scholarships.
Right, but they also remember when they got these scholarships, and this is the hard part, you can get a scholarship to be a musician, and you also, as a musician, could go out and make a record and still keep your scholarship as a musician. So why can't you do that in football? Because the money was too big, and the NCAA wanted all of it. Mm-hmm. That's why. Why did Jeremy Bloom, an Olympic skier, get kicked out of football for making money off YouTube videos of him skiing? Because the NCAA wants all the money. Why was a USF kicker got kicked off of YouTube or got kicked out of USF because he was making trick shot kicks on YouTube and got money off of it, and the NCAA said you got to go.
I think I know who that was.
Yeah, I mean these are common stories, but like that was
Reggie Bush.
Right? Why is Reggie Bush not have his Heisman, but O.J. Simpson does?
Yeah,
like,
Johnny Manziel's got something to say about that.
But like. It is it's patently ridiculous. And the NCAA is the reason why we have this issue, but the transfer portal is the problem, not the NIL. Players can get paid. If they get paid with a contract that holds them in a place for a while and they have to consequence for breaching that contract, then the NIL is fine.
Okay, just roll with me here.
Yeah.
With the money that could be made through NIL and all these things, what if players didn't get scholarships? They had to pay their own tuition. That way they would have a little skin in the game, a reason to stay at their college. They're making enough where it's essentially...
The tricky part is not all players get that, and then two, it's not the schools paying them. In theory, it is advertisers. But I get what you're saying. I honestly think it's one of those things where if you're signing a contract to play somewhere, maybe that's part of it. You have to pay back. If you go somewhere and you're there for the last 2 years, you have to pay back your college tuition, and room and board, and all of that. And you have to, and again, I think if you're signing a contract of like, hey, you guarantee that you're going to be here for 3 years and you cannot go anywhere, we're not going to allow you to play anywhere, you're going to lock into a contract that'll be 3 years, $1 million a year, or you could do 3 years, $500,000 a year, and then you have some more freedom.
Yeah,
like those ways around it.
And that's the beauty of where we're at in the NIL is we're only a year in. We're going into year 2. We have the ability to make changes, but we need to see the writing on the wall, and you can't just assume after year 1 that everything now is wrong. You need to see a little bit of a pattern so you can figure out what exactly the issue is, right? Why are these kids transferring? Are they transferring because they can make more money at another school? Are they doing it because they're not getting the playing time? What's the real root cause behind so many people entering the transfer portal?
It's not one cause. I mean, there's 10 different causes, and it can be different for any single player.
Right. No, for sure. But you can find trends and then fix things
but
based on trends.
But at the same time, I mean,
it's 1 year.
At the same time, if there's a player at, say, like a school in the MAC who pops off and has a really great year, and then every big Power 5 program wants him to come to their school, and they're going to pay him money on top of that.
I Jim's idea. You pay the school at the MAC back, and you're going to get the money.
Yeah, like
in trading in soccer.
Yes,
that's
what
they have.
That was not my idea. Mine was that like if you were a player and you left, you had to pay the school back. This way, it's like a transfer fee. Or whatever.
Transfer exactly. Yeah.
So if you want to if you want to go from Marshall, non-Power 5 to let's say Wisconsin, you can actually go immediately, but then Wisconsin has to pay Marshall a transfer fee.
That I really like, actually, because that helps the program then, because then they're like receiving the benefits of getting good players to go there, but then they leave and then they get more money that can build the program.
And then the schools that are poaching players like that, like your Power 5 schools taking them
you
from
have to be selective. Yeah,
you've got to be a little bit more selective who you're courting.
Yep.
Right.
All right, so when we make
when we
make our presidential announcement official, that will be part of our policy.
That's a very good one.
David Deerfield chimes in 1927, Babe Ruth contract paid him more than the president of the United States, and when asked why, he replied, "I had a better year." Like I hate the pocket watching because there are a million jobs. Like nobody who should be getting paid more than teachers. Like when you're looking at it, or nurses, or doctors, firefighters. Yeah. There's lots. Nobody is paid proportionally. Unfortunately, that capitalism is great, but also
sounds like a Beastie Boys song. Nobody's paying proportionally. Unfortunately.
Yeah, there you go. No sleep till Brooklyn.